Go watch the Brené Brown Netflix special. It's only an hour. She drops lots of cuss words. I don't know if she drops an F-bomb. She cusses like a sailor. And she has fundamentally changed the way businesses and organizations are looking at leadership. She has worked with everybody from special forces to NBA to NFL teams. And her new book, which listen to me, I feel like I'll just say her new book is really interesting. There is research that has just been done. Let's try this. I'm going to try this on you. How many emotions can you name? Like just name emotions off the top of your head. You know, happy, sad,
Happiness,
whatever.
Sadness, yeah. Jealousy, there's a million of them.
Well, no, okay, go, dude. Just do, go, just do.
Envy, jealousy, happiness, boredom, depression.
Okay. Depression is not.
Depressing.
Depressed.
Depressed. Happiness. Joyfulness,
Okay.
which is different than happiness.
Yes. Yeah.
Sadness.
You already had that one. You can't get sad.
Fearfulness.
You got fearful, yeah.
I already said boredom, which I'm getting at this point during this.
Okay, so I'll stop.
Yeah.
So I'll stop. The average number of emotions that an adult can name, average in her studies, is 4.
Yeah.
Average. And there are over 36 recognized.
If I had the magnet in front of me on my refrigerator, I could do it.
Why?
You know the old magnet on the
That's got all the
refrigerator?
emotions?
Today I feel, and you put the little box
okay.
right. Yeah.
So there's 36.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that's so interesting about her new book is she talks about all of the emotions that actually exist. So these things exist in us.
Yes.
But we're not able, by the research, we're not able to name them.
Yeah.
And part of the problem is we start experiencing things that we can't name, we can't label, so we label them as something else. This is the quintessential guy who is feeling ashamed, lashes out in anger. And he tells you he's angry and he's irritated. And so her new book really talks about how can we learn to have a better vocabulary.
Can you get her on?
No.
Why not?
Because she's like, dude.
Does she know who you are? She knows who you are.
Jules met. I got picked. Jules got picked.
Jules to get her on.
She is, dude.
Thing about Brené Brown is, and I went through marriage counseling, right? And you've told enough about Brené Brown, and she has a lot of one-liners, a lot of Instagram type of things. You either like her or you don't like her, because if you don't like her,
you're an idiot.
Well,
you're an idiot.
That's not something you want to say in front of a marriage counselor or in front of any therapist. I hate Brené Brown because that means you're not going to work with it, because there's
that's not true.
But it could be someone that's also got things written on their walls. Not to spoil the end, but it's going to be okay.
I'm telling you, dude. Brené she led a rough life: alcoholism, smoking, the whole thing.
All right. Do you want to get?
I'm going to clip that. You want to just did and clip, stop, clip.
Send that to Straight Guy to the Kurre Guy.
And I'm going to send it to Brené, and then I'm going to say, look at him.
Yeah.
We've already applied to Queer Eye.
No, I'm a guy, and I'm not supposed to be in this, but as you get older, you realize, you're.
You're a human. Yes. Okay. Go.
All right. Do you want to go fluff here, or do you want to dig in?
Let's dig in.
All right. This is what you want.
Let me stretch out my pajamas.
Yeah. This is going to be great for you. You're going to love this. I thought of you. It's called.
Do I need to warm up?
It's called a minor attracted person. A minor attracted person. What do you think a minor attracted person is?
I don't know. I think short or young.
It's called a map.
I think short or young.
Well, the other word for it is pedophile.
Oh, minor. Oh, that kind of minor attracted. An old
Dominion University professor has placed an assistant professor on administration leave after the educator sparked heated backlash for saying it isn't necessarily immoral for adults to be sexually attracted to children. Let me go on.
Yeah, go on.
Alan Walker, who teaches sociology and criminal justice at Old Dominion University, made the controversial comment while discussing minor attracted persons.
That's so
during a November 8th interview with the foundation, a San Francisco-based child protection organization.
Okay.
Walker uses the pronouns they and them, was discussing their book, A Long Dark Shadow, Minor Attracted People in Their Pursuit of Dignity. When they insisted it's important to use that terminology instead of pedophile because it's less stigmatizing. In a statement Tuesday, the school said he placed Walker on administrative leave. Reactions to Dr. Walker's research and book have led to concerns for their safety and that of the campus. Furthermore, the controversy over Dr. Walker's research has disrupted the campus and community environment, is inferring with the institution's mission of teaching and learning. I want to state in the strongest terms possible that child sexual abuse is morally wrong and has no place in our society. Walker has acknowledged that the use of the term minor attracted persons, or MAPS, suggests to some that it's okay to be attracted to children, but said labeling anyone wholly by their sexual desires doesn't indicate anything about their morality. You want me to read that again?
Yeah, no. I'm. You see what I'm doing?
He goes on to say, from my perspective, there's no morality or immorality attached to attraction to anyone because no one can control who they're attracted to at all.
That's interesting.
In other words, it's not who they're attracted to, whether it's okay or not okay. It's our behaviors in responding to that attraction
now you're getting in
that are either okay or not okay.
Now you
said child abuse is never, ever okay.
Yeah, right.
That having sexual urges toward children isn't necessarily wrong as long as those carnal desires aren't acted upon.
Fascinating. So that is, oh my God. All right, let me try to truncate myself. So my very first question is, do you know what Old Dominion, are they a Catholic, Christian? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I think I want to say it's Catholic. But
okay, so that's fine. That's the first thing. Then the second thing, which I wasn't going here, but the second thing is that statement, besides where we're going to go with it, pulls into the whole question of homosexuality. She just pulled in the whole, a lot. I mean, I hate to say this. This is conversion therapy. She's not advocating, but this is where conversion therapy, where religions go with homosexuality. You can have the urges. You can be, we can't control who we're attracted to.
And by the way, we have these urges all day, every day.
Yeah. But
we see women that we want to stare at. We see people we want to say things to.
Yeah.
But we check it back and we go, okay, this is not.
So, but this, listen to what this, I mean, think about this. This is
I knew you'd love this.
This is what the churches, or many churches, not all, but many churches have said, you know, if that homosexuality is a sin, it is an urge or a desire, but that you don't need to act upon it, right? And this is where the whole idea of conversion therapy, or at the very least, the message that you can have this attraction, but in order to live morally, you don't act on this attraction. I mean, that's the exact argument on the homosexuality. This professor's not talking about that, but it plays into exactly the same thing. So now the question becomes, is it immoral to be attracted? And see, here's where, I always go to this place. Here's where you've got to start defining things. If you're 40 or 30 and you're attracted to a 16-year-old, is that a child? Yes, legally, that's a child.
Yeah.
What if you're 30 or 40 and you're attracted to a 17-year-old?
By the way, Old Dominion is just a public research college.
So think about that. Now I'm going into the gray area.
Yep.
Because that's okay. Then we can take it to so that's the gray area. That would fall in the same thing. You know, as a either way, teacher of the week. Every teacher of the week. It's a 20, 30, it's a 30, 40-year-old adult who is engaging in sex with a 16, 17, 18-year-old child. So that's one. Now go deeper or go more extreme. You are whatever age, 30, 40, 50 years old. Now the child is just hitting puberty, 14, 13, 12. Mm-hmm. Now does it get him, now is it bad? Well, most people would say yes.
Yep.
Some people wouldn't say yes if it was 16, 17, 18. They would say, well, it's not appropriate, but. And so now the argument she's making, or he's making, is that the attraction is something that just happens biologically.
Is that true?
I don't know, because
can we control what we're attracted to? Or is it, because I know for a fact that there's sometimes when I look at a woman, I go, oh, and my friends are like, dude.
But I think sometimes, and I don't know this, I don't know biologically, because you could make the argument that sexual attraction to minors, prepubescent minors, is I can just make it, it's a chemical imbalance. Because if you think
there's
about,
a lot of pre-genetic, not so much genetics, but there's obviously we know that if you got abused as a child.
But that's what I'm saying. So forget the pedophile, forget the person who acts on it.
Yeah.
And you ask the question.
Yeah, well, let's just cut that all out, because if you act upon it,
right.
you had issues.
But the question would be, from an evolutionary standpoint, it would make no sense. From an evolutionary standpoint, well, and then we got homosexuality too. But homosexuality we think is perinatal, that there are changes in the hormones of an individual at birth or right before birth that can result in homosexuality. So now the question is, why would somebody be attracted, a grown post-pubescent adult be attracted to a pre-pubescent child sexually?
Yeah.
I don't know. Obviously, it doesn't make any evolutionary sense. It does, you could make the argument that their brain is wired differently.
And I think what Dr. Allen was trying to do was separate the moral aspects of the thought process and go purely scientific on it. It's a research hospital. It's a research university, right?
Yeah.
And so he was trying to state that while he doesn't believe it's correct, and certainly if you ask him personally, does he believe it's immoral, that there's a lot of uncontrollable
immoral
aspects.
Is interesting, because that's a problem with morality. I have a problem with morality. I've always had a problem with morality, because morality is a subjective. It's a subjective.
Well, it's cultural to an extent.
Cultural.
And religious to an extent. I mean, we just had the bishops, vote yesterday.
Yeah, I saw.
They were talking about whether they were going to allow people that believed in abortion to accept.
Yeah, I know.
The wafer, and they stopped short of that. They said, well, along with blah 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 blah. If you just murdered somebody, you should not be able to accept communion.
Not disappointed in the bishops.
They did what the Catholics do. They don't want to separate the Catholics, because there are a lot of Catholics that believe that abortion's probably okay if it's incest or rape or something. They don't believe that you could just knock boots on a Friday night.
They thread the needle on that one, but that's fine.
They did. And so they kind of walked that line again, because they don't want to have division inside the church. I think it's really interesting, because the first thing I thought of was our bathtub segment about the first time you look at your daughter.
Yes.
And you're kind of like, whoa, hey, put that away.
Right, but you're not looking.
But and it's weird. There's a little.
But it's not and that's what I'm saying.
As a parent, it's totally different. So I was trying to think of all these different things. We talked about the other day, the schoolgirl uniform.
Yeah, right. I know.
I drove by school the other day to go pick up my kids. I don't even know what grade it was.
Don't say it, because they're going
to. But saw the plaid. It caught my eye. I was like.
But were they post-pub?
I have no idea. I wouldn't allow myself to look any longer. I was like, I
know.
But I mean, for a minute, I felt like, what are you doing? And I was like. But I've grown up. I'm 50. I've grown up seeing Halloween costumes, naughty girl costume.
What this guy is saying, this is where I go back to the same thing. There is, I'm not going to ask you to say this on air, but if there was a teenager, 14, 15, who was physically developed like a woman, beautiful.
Yep.
Would you not be attracted to her?
Dude, I see, I'm 55, okay? I've got a 9-year-old.
Right.
Okay, I started late, all right? I've got more friends of mine who are 45 to 55 who have showed me pictures of their 18-year-old daughters, including you.
I know.
That I'm like, dude, stop sending me. This is what you got to look forward to.
I know.
I'm like, what is that? That's my daughter. She's at college. She's 18. I'm like, dude, stop sending me pictures of your. This is what she wore for Halloween. So stop sending me pictures of your daughter. You sick bastard! You. What are you doing to me here?
Well, but that's what I'm saying. So I do think. So here's where I'm struggling. Here's the part where I struggle. Is I don't know, and I'm struggling because I don't know the research. Is if we look at the brains of somebody who is attracted to minors, do their brains function differently? Number one. And then it's always the same question: nature or nurture? Is there a family history that would predict this? Mm-hmm. Right? Are there environmental factors that would predict this? Whether it's abuse, whether it's cultural. This is what I love about the show. I have no idea in other cultures Is it okay? Can we have a male, a 40-year-old male or 40-year-old female with a 14-year-old child or a 13-year-old child? So that's what I mean. I think that this research is really important. It's so important to do this kind of research. And this is the kind of thing where, I mean, shutting this down is disappointing to me because I understand.
Shutting it down? What do you mean shutting it down?
Didn't they put him on administrative leave? Yeah. As an academic and as a former academic, I understand where you have to be careful. You have to protect the safety of the students, etc. But these are the kinds of questions. This is so funny. We need to be asking. Yeah. What we can't do is hide. Oh, that's immoral.
This could be a college course.
Oh yeah,
it would be a
studies.
Great college.
Yes, the morality of
course.
Gender.
When you throw in again from a scientific standpoint, I get that. I do think it's really interesting because there are people that struggle with things all the time.
Yes.
Whether it's alcoholism, whether it's looking at whether they, we try to reform these people. If you get put in jail for being a pedophile, you got a sign in your yard. You're a sex offender for how many ever years it is, and then we try to reform you. And I'm like, are they, by putting them in prison for 10 years, isn't reforming a pedophile?
No, and there's treatment. Listen, we talked about this on the show. There are many, many people who are pedophiles, who are there are many people who are, they're attracted. They are attracted to children. They have acted on that attraction, and they are wholly remorseful. They feel horrible, and this is the treatment. The part of the treatment,
and they can't stop.
They can't stop. And again, it would be,
and people don't understand that.
And
physiology, I can't say it's the same thing, but it's like alcoholism or anything else, where you have to work some type of program to get out of that thought.
Well,
process.
Can imagine?
Why didn't you stop? They can't stop.
Well, can you imagine?
It's not a willpower thing.
Can you imagine? I mean, and I don't know the science, but can you imagine if I said, you're homosexual? This is where I was going with this. You just need to stop. I understand the urges, the sexual urges, but you can't be with men or women. Or if I said, if I said, oh, you're heterosexual, I understand the urges, but you can't act upon that.
Yeah.
And yes, there's a small enough number of people who are pedophiles who, again, most of them that my reader, the research is, they'll tell you, I know this is not right. Yep. And they've done, there's everything. The treatments for pedophilia is everything from sort of cognitive kind of restructuring and thinking about urges down to chemical castration. Mm-hmm. Voluntary. Mm-hmm. Voluntary. Please take away my libido. Yeah. Because I know where my libido is going. And listen, obviously, if I'm a parent, I don't want to have my child violated in any way. It's the most horrific thing I can think about. But at the same time, I feel, as a clinician, great compassion for these people. These people who are struggling with this. Yeah. And imagine if you were struggling with it and you never acted upon it. We should ask Misty Smith. I wonder how many...
and I can tell you firsthand. My mother, who was sexually abused, and I didn't know it until later on in her life. She suffered 50 years of depression. She didn't get help. There just wasn't There wasn't help to get in the 70s for depression. It wasn't. It was just like, get over it, get out of bed, and keep moving. And I found out about it later in life, and then I went back and started thinking about some instances where my mom and I were alone for long periods of time. I was considered a miracle baby. I should have never happened. And so I was treated a lot differently. My mom really took care of me. I was the baby. I was the only child that got bathed every night. And I kept thinking about all the opportunities that she would have had to further the abusive cycle. And I know that it's got to stop. We know that people who are sexually abused or abused, period, there is a predisposition there to abuse and keep the cycle going. And it's got to be, and my mom knew that. Mm-hmm. And I think there were a couple of times I could think, and I'm not going to be specific with it, where she probably could have taken advantage of me. I would have thought nothing of it.
Of course, because
but she didn't do it. And so she's a hero of mine because of that, because she stopped that cycle. But it was something that I think she struggled with because it was ingrained in her brain. That's how it is.
So? Because not everybody who's sexually abused.
She knew it was wrong.
But
she was I think she was attracted to the idea at some point in her life.
That's interesting because that's not a given.
But she didn't react to it.
No,
and eventually, we obviously had a wonderful relationship, and I love my mom to death, and for what she did for our family. But I can't help but think that at least once she wasn't attracted to that idea of doing it, or thinking through the process of, okay, this is going to happen, but she never followed through. So that's the real interesting. The people. You want to talk about compassion, the people that have this thing, I don't know why I feel this way. I don't know why I want to do this.
Right.
And they fight it. They know it's wrong.
Yes.
They know the ramifications of it.
Yes.
They know their life will be over if they get caught doing it.
Yes.
Yet they fight it. That's an urge.
Listen.
And that's
take again. The reason I'm bringing it to the comparison, although I don't know if it's a fair comparison, but it gives people an understanding of what it must feel like for a lot of people who are homosexual.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is why people live in the closet. Yep. Right? This is why they don't live in the closet. They're in the closet because they go through. And most people who are homosexual will tell you, I knew it, I fought it. I tried to, not be this way. Now, again, the difference is, can you imagine? Think about this. Let's just go here with Kurre and Klapow. It is one thing to say you are a predator and you're violating a child or anybody else. You don't call a rapist, well, they're an opportunistic and they're just attracted to the other person. That's a violation. But imagine we lived in a culture where attraction to children was okay, right? So you didn't go and sneak in the door and you go do that, but somehow it was okay.
It was culturally acceptable.
It was culturally.
We've seen cults like that.
What's Jerry Lee Jones? No, who's the guy, famous rocker who married back in the 50s? Who married
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yep. Married his 13-year-old cousin, 13-year-old cousin.
And how old was he, roughly? An adult?
40s, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it happened. And he continued to make records.
Well,
yeah.
No, she wasn't 6.
Yeah.
Now, I guess. So here's the thing. Oh, this is so interesting. Damn it. This is so interesting because now flip it on the other side. You can say as an adult, okay, I have these urges and I'm attracted to young children. If they're prepubescent, by biological definition, they're not going to be sexually attracted to you.
They should not.
Yeah, they're not going to be sexually attracted. They're not. Yep. Not sexually. And so by that definition, I think I've changed my mind. Because by that definition, it can't be okay because it's not consensual. You can have the urge, but being together is not because they don't have an attraction to you. They don't have a sexual attraction to you. Where it gets the gray line is as puberty's hitting.
Yeah.
Because as puberty's hitting...
And we see that with teachers and students all the time.
You could make the argument that biologically, when puberty has run its course for the, 12, 13, 14, you are a man. You are a woman from a sexual attraction standpoint.
I think there's no line
here.
This
is some deep Kurre and Klapow shit.
Well, yeah, because
right
any time from prepubescence all the way to 18, you're looking at the maturity of the child. You're looking at the maturity, the development of that child. You're looking at, because obviously some 16-year-olds look a lot different than other 16-year-olds.
Yes.
There's all, and then we jokingly kind of do the teacher of the day, and I do that to keep it out there because I want people to know what's going on in our schools. There's a trillion great teachers out there.
Sexually, if you've gone through, I'm not saying that every child who is gone through puberty is raging sex hormones, but if you've gone through puberty, you are at the stage where physiologically, you may not be ready for it psychologically.
Yeah.
But look, with males, we got the wet dreams going on. We got sexual attraction. So you could make the argument that once you go through puberty, you're not physiologically an adult. I mean, a child.
Yeah.
They should have let the course go. They should have kept the course. They should have.
Yeah, I don't know if it was actually a course or something. He actually wrote this book, The Dark Shadow.
Yeah,
or The Long Dark Shadow.
I didn't read the book, but I think those.
And the whole idea of his book was not to stigmatize pedophiles. The whole idea, and of course, that really pissed people
and that
off.
was the
minor attracted people in their pursuit of dignity is the subtitle of the book.
That's dude, that's some good stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of can I just tell you like that. That's
and I don't know this. I don't know this assistant professor. I don't know what his track record is.
I don't
know how old he is. I don't know his past.
It's interesting,
but to tackle something like that and put it in writing, it takes some big balls.
Well, it does.
Because you're going to get hammered.
Well, it's an interesting thing because when you talk about academic freedom, that's something that it is surprising to me that they were put on administrative leave for that. Because academic freedom is incredibly broad. You can do what you teach and what you say to students is that's where it gets more gray. But as an academician, you can write a book, and I'm surprised that they were put on academic leave or administrative leave for the writing of that book, because we have to be, and I'm not going to launch it, we have to be super careful to allow academicians to study appropriately what they want to study, to explore the taboo, to go to the places that nobody wants to go, obviously this is why we have informed consent, without injuring or negatively influencing students, etc. But somebody's got to ask that question.
Because some of the greatest professors we have are the ones that think outside the box and are willing to go there.
I mean, listen. Let's use it doesn't have to be the Catholic Church. Let's use the Catholic Church or Islam or Judaism. Somebody thought about this and made a decision on it. It didn't just come that it was immoral. Somebody had to struggle with this. Some group of teachers or clergy had to have what do you think what the bishops are doing right now?
Yeah.
They are talking right now. They are talking about the morality or immorality of abortion as it relates to communion. Mm-hmm. They are talking about, I don't know, incest. They're talking about all the things that we go, Yes. I can guarantee you that they talk about bestiality. They talk about all those kinds of things because you got to have that conversation. It exists in our society.
Yeah, and I think where we kind of get tripped up, and this could be used for anything, whether it's abortion, pedophile, whatever. There's a line in the sand that we must.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you.
We must. It's a law. We must have laws. We must have lines in the sand. Where we get lost is there are outliers in every situation.
Yes,
and every situation, to me, should be looked differently and differentiate. Okay, they both did the same thing, but this was a different situation than this one, and they shouldn't suffer or engage in or be accoladed for the same thing because they're both different situations. And if we're going to sit there and say, well, he did it, and you're saying that's okay, but it's not okay for me to do it, that's right. Because the situations, the circumstances were totally different in this particular case. He got raped and you didn't. There's different ways to look at things. And what we do is we want to know yes or no.
Of course.
Is it okay or not?
Yeah.
And you can't do that. And listen, I'm Catholic.
Yeah.
I have my thoughts on abortion.
But it's interesting that you just said that. It's okay or not. Yes, that's what we want. We want it out of our religion. We want religion to tell us that.
Yep.
We want our parents. I just had a conversation last night with a parent whose daughter is a high level college athlete, and she's struggling. She's had some injuries, and they're going back and forth, and they're arguing. The parents are arguing, and I was saying to the parent, they're arguing with you because they're afraid to face their own truth. What they want is somebody, the doctors, somebody to say you can play or you can't play. Yep. And in this particular athlete's case, it's in the gray area. You're okay, but.
Yeah.
And man, we hate that.
Sure we do.
We hate it in relationships.
Oh, yeah.
I need to know where I stand.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, every guy. Well, are we good?
Yeah.
Are we good? Well, I don't know if we're good. What do you mean? What do you mean we don't know if we're good?
Yeah, because we want to move on.
We're going to be good. Okay, if we're not good, let's tackle the problem. Well, we don't know.